All right, welcome back in. So glad you could join us on a Friday morning. Always glad that this guy can join us as well. Of course, the sports director at Fox 2 here in Detroit, the voice of the Detroit Lions as well. Let's welcome him in, the one and only Dan Miller. Danny, really appreciate you giving us the time as always. And, this is one of those teams that coming into this game, I think it's safe to say everybody in Lion Nation was probably watching the Green Bay Packers and the Cleveland Browns last week at about 3:45, and we got a little taste of what we're going to see at Ford Field on Sunday.
Yeah, because at 3:40 it's 10-0, and you're figuring Green Bay's just going to win the game. So that was a quick turn of events and a huge mistake by Green Bay to allow them to get back in that game and ultimately win it. And, just looking at the game, and I'll watch it more tonight, and reading a lot of the things that I read about the game, it just felt like if Green Bay could have done anything on offense, they're going to win that game. But that's number one, a couple mistakes by Green Bay. Number two, this is a legit defense that Cleveland brings in. Jim Schwartz has those guys playing really well.
That's what jumps out to you about this team? I mean, listen, say what we want about Jim Schwartz. This is a guy that has kind of waved the magic wand a few times with some of his defenses. What jumps out about this defense? Because you're right, Dan, the proof's in the pudding. All one has to do is look at the numbers.
Well, obviously one of the best players in the league. That's the first thing that jumps out at you in Myles Garrett. He is just he's a game wrecker. I mean, he's just one of those guys that can change a game in one snap, and there's a handful of those guys in this league, and he's one of them. And then, look, when you can stop the run, when you are able to control the other team and make them one-dimensional, then at that point, it's what you've set out to do, because you take away half of what they're trying to do. I mean, they're giving up 54.5 yards a game on the ground. They're by far the number one team in the league, which is crazy. Those are numbers you would figure they're not going to be able to sustain, but through 3 weeks, it's what they've been able to do. So, look, we've all been doing this forever, and every coach that you go up to and ask them about the other team's offense that week, and you say, hey, what do you want to do? The first thing they always say is stop the run. And Cleveland's doing that. So it's a good place to be. And again, full credit to Jim. He's a heck of a defensive coach. And as you said, Sean, he has been in a couple of different places, and he's doing it again here. And it's going to be that is what you're going to have to contend with. They're not taking the ball away a lot. So that's going to be a key in this game, not giving them empty possessions from Detroit, giving them short fields, making it easy on their offense, because their offense isn't playing that well either. So you need to look at their offense and say, we can't allow their defense to make life easy for their offense. The Lions have to just go out there, play clean football, grind it out as best they can. And look, this to me feels like, we can talk about their defense and things like that. This to me feels like what I call a business appointment. You're the better team. Walk into that meeting, handle your business, pop open, close your briefcase, and walk out and be done with it. And it's not to say it'll be easy, but it's the way it needs to be handled.
Good morning, Dan. I think it's a 24-10 game. I don't see Cleveland scoring more than 10 against the way the Lions are playing. That said, go back to Monday, and what a great, unbelievable game we got to see, and you got to be there live. And that place, when it started, it was electric. I mean, you know how Ford Field gets on a Monday night? It looks similar to Ford Field. It's outdoors. It's black and purple. It has got everything going against the Lions, and they go out and they punch them in the mouth. Score first, 2 95-plus yard drives, and a great defensive effort down on the goal line. Man, I don't remember a better regular season game than that.
Yeah, it's Maz. That's one thing that we've talked about this week. Some is just where does that rank among the regular season games that we've seen? I mean, you can go to Minnesota last year, which was historic with 2 14-win teams, and it's for the division title, and it's the final week of the season, and it's for a bye, and certainly that's one of them. But to go into Baltimore against that team, understanding what they did to you 2 years ago, and just understanding the history they have. They've been so good for so long with different personnel, even different head coaches. that you didn't see that necessarily coming. Nobody saw 7 sacks of Lamar Jackson coming. So, yeah, and that was their choice to put their defense out on the field first. And we always talk about it. I usually throw it to TJ at that point. I'm like, what do you think? And he's like, you know what? They want their defense out there first and try to set the tone in the game. Well, as you said, the Lions were the ones that set the tone in that game. So it's 2 weeks in a row that the Lions have been able to score on their opening possession. It always is great for alleviating, any angst you may have about the game and kind of evening out where you're at and put the other team back on their heels a little bit. So look, both teams responded, but you got to respond back. So it's the back and forth of it. But that was a special night. There's no doubt about it. And the game plan that they drew up to keep Lamar contained, and then the relentless nature with which they went after him, and the controlled nature with which they went after him, because he relies on you getting out of your game plan, and then he's going to take advantage of it. Well, they didn't do that, and he wasn't able to do that, and it was a beautiful night, man, and full marks to the players, the coaches, and for what they designed, and the players for executing.
Hey, good morning, Dan. Couple questions from me here, and you talked about it. I feel like the job that the coordinators have done, in particular over the last 2 weeks, has really been impressive, man. You saw some things from John Morton in that game, kind of switching it up. We got a power I formation with Gibbs and Monty on the field. Just some things that, a lot of people said when John Morton came in, oh, this is the end of the trick plays. Oh, he's going to run very conservative offense. Well, you didn't necessarily see that. And conversely, on the other side, Kelvin Shepherd's game plan for Lamar Jackson, absolutely amazing. 11 sacks in 2 weeks for this Lions defense. What has been your takeaway, even though it's early, what has been your takeaway from the two coordinators so far?
Well, my takeaway number one is when the old coordinators left, they didn't, and I think we've said this on the show before, they didn't take the players with them. These guys are still here. This is still one of, if not the most talented roster in the NFL, with a ton of guys that are still getting better and figuring it out. And they're utilizing those guys. And, you've got Hutch back. That secondary, is playing well and doing a nice job. Those linebackers had a great game. All three of them. Barnes was terrific. Alex was terrific. Jack was terrific. Hutch came on, did what he did late. And, I was told there was a lot of going back and forth on Twitter or X or whatever about where's Hutch. Well, you know what? Sometimes Hutch is occupying other people so other guys can make plays. And I'm not worried about 97. But my take on these guys is, look, they're doing a great job. And I think you needed to give them some time to let them write their own story. And they're doing that right now. And it doesn't mean that it's going to continue to go like this, and that you're going to go from Chicago to Baltimore to Cleveland to Cincinnati, and it's going to get better and better and better. There's going to be bumps in the road, but just like Ben Johnson and just like Aaron Glenn, they deserve the right to deal with those bumps in the road, and let's see how they come back from those. But it's what this says to me is these are very capable men that Dan Campbell has a lot of faith in, and they're using the talent that they've got to execute their game plans, to put their game plans together, and to be effective. And let's not forget, above all of it, the head coach is still here. Yep. And this is his team. And everything runs through him. And Dan Campbell, we know by now, is one of the best coaches in the NFL, full stop. And he knows how to get his team ready to play a game. He understands what they have to do in terms of strategy to get ready for a game and attack the other opponent. And he's involved in every component of the game plan, and everything runs through him and everything runs through his headset. So that's not to take anything away from John Morton. It's not to take anything away from Shep. It's to say, let's not forget the players are here, the head coach is here, and now these guys are here. And so far they're doing a nice job, and we'll see how it all plays out. But you know what? They deserve the time to figure this out. I think there was some panic after week number one, even though I think there was some signs in week number one that it wasn't that bad. Yeah. And now we'll just see where it goes from here. You know how this is, guys. from week to week, we like to make final determinations. And then we'll make another final determination the week after that, and another final determination the week after that. And it's kind of the nature of what we do is in the media and as fans and things like that. But it's why we love it, because we can emotionally get attached to it and get into it.
Dan, I could not agree with you more. And speaking of final determinations, a lot of people have kind of made final determinations on the Terrion Arnold situation. Coach Shep came to the podium and said that Amik Robertson would be receiving, more snaps in this next game. And, a lot of people are kind of out on TA. I don't think people really pay attention to the things he does do well on the football field. But what do you make of the TA situation right now with Amik Robertson set to come in and take more snaps?
Well, let's start here. I thought TA had a good second half. And I think that entire secondary did, because they forced Lamar to hold the ball at times. And believe me, if he could have cut it loose, he would have cut it loose.
Yeah.
Look, I think Terrion is struggling a little bit right now. I think he's in his head a little bit right now. And I think he just needs some time to level off and figure things out. It's not an easy position. Not everybody figures it out right away. Some guys do. And that's maybe where people are like, what's wrong with this guy? Not everybody does. I'm far from being out on Terrion Arnold. He is physically exactly what this team wants in a cornerback. We've seen him play well. He closed last year much stronger than he began the year. So it may not be where everybody wants it to be right now. And it might be that him taking a step back and being able to watch a little bit and letting Amik go in there and play some football isn't the worst thing in the world. But look, we all remember how badly Darius Slay struggled when he came into the league. And he ended up being an outstanding cornerback in this league and maybe headed to the Hall of Fame. So we'll see where it goes. To me, it's too early for a guy that clearly has the physical talent that he has, playing a really tough position to give up. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you that he's not struggling a little bit. I think he is. And I think when you struggle, it can get in your head. When it gets in your head, I think when that ball's in the air, sometimes you might panic a little bit. And I think he just needs to settle down, play his game, and do what he's capable of doing. And maybe a little downtime is going to help him. I still think he's going to be a part of everything they do in there. And they're going to need him along the way, because we know how injuries crop up, in particular, it seems, in the secondary. So sometimes it's the natural progression, and it doesn't feel great, and you just have to wait for it to kind of level off. But I'm far from giving up on him. I just think there's too much there.
Dan Miller, of course, will have the call of the game. Make sure you check the game out. Obviously, Game Day Live coming on at 10 a.m., taking you up to it. And, of course, the works at night. Dan, I love that business trip approach. I remember the Indianapolis game, okay? It didn't do anything for you. I know people are looking at bells and whistles, and oh, my gosh, let's run it like we did against Tennessee, like we did against Dallas. Just take care against a really good defense. I don't care if you win the game 24-6 or whatever the heck it was in Indianapolis. Just don't let the trap that Green Bay fell into last week befall you heading into this one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they had some trouble early in that Indianapolis game, and then they figured it out, and they just kind of marched, and it wasn't, as you said, bells and whistles. It wasn't going to make their highlight film for all the great plays and be a 48-6 win, but it was a win. And that's what you need to do. And it's just, I think there's games on your schedule that you look at where you just say, we're the better team. Now, you better be careful, because, cliche coming, every game in this league is tough. Most games in this league are within one score or two scores in the fourth quarter, and you still have to be careful. And this probably will be that. But, again, you're the better team. And what you'd hate to see, and look, you lose this game, Monday doesn't mean as much. So you want to build on what you did Monday by winning this game and going out there and exerting your will and showing you are the better team, which I think clearly everybody believes that they are. But handle your business and make sure you do it. And don't go out there and give them a reason to think this is their day and they're going to beat a second straight team from the NFC North in 2 weeks. And I think that's the approach you have to take. I think it'll be an electric atmosphere, obviously, inside of Ford Field. It'll be a lot of fun. Folks are going to love having them back home after that Baltimore game. And And you just got to go out there and play clean football. Don't commit penalties. Don't commit turnovers, and let your talent lead the way.
Hey, Dan, have a great call. Appreciate you as always. You're always so gracious with your time. One of the classiest guys I know. Dan Miller, the voice of the Lions. Until next week, Dan, thanks as always.
Thanks, Dan.
Thanks, Dan.
All right, boys. Appreciate you. Thank you.
Peace, man.